Hey, I'm Tony K. Welcome to Transformation School. Now, this video is sloppy, but I'm going to try to make it quick. We are going to be looking at the Combiner Wars Titan Class Devastator, the Toyworld Constructor. This was a re-release in a gift box set, something like that. The Jinbao KO oversized Warbatron Bruticus, and the Zeta Toys Armageddon, which is their third-party version of a masterpiece-style Bruticus. Now, as the Armageddon was being released, Unique Toys was releasing their own third-party masterpiece-style Bruticus character figure. Their figure is smaller. Two of their bots, maybe three of their bots, look fantastic. Two of their bots don't look so fantastic. With this Zeta one, a lot of complaint about this is that their robot modes aren't cartoon accurate. They're big, they're clunky, they're bulky, they got all this kibble. And that is a big complaint for these things. But I gotta tell you, when I had each of these in robot mode, they do look fantastic. They are big, they are clunky, they are bulky, they do have kibble. But the colors on this look awesome. Head sculpt looks awesome. Detail looks fantastic. The articulation is very good. Now, I have to say that I'm going to be in this video quite a bit. Shirt, pants, maybe even my face, because these things are so big, I gotta fit all this stuff in the shot. Now, the sound quality is gonna change as well, because I usually do my video from behind the camera, but when I'm over here, that's gonna change how my voice projects to the camera. Sometimes I'll be looking at the figure, I'll be hard to hear. Sometimes I'll be looking to the camera, I'll be easier to hear. But I've got a very limited amount of time. My two adopted special needs children will be home from school in about 45 minutes, and it is very difficult to film with them home. You might even see them in my videos from time to time if you haven't noticed them already. As well as I am battling an upper respiratory infection. And then last but not least, I am trying to get a bunch of figures ready for the Winter Toy Con, a collector's toy show being held at the Arizona Collectors Marketplace. I think this is the second or third annual Winter Toy Show. So look for the Arizona Collectors Marketplace on Facebook, and you can learn and see a lot of cool stuff. Getting back to this. Before I put this into the Bruticus mode and compare all these four guys together, I did want to talk about the bot modes that just before I got off on this tangent, I was mentioning the articulation. So some of it is hindered by the bulkiness, like we aren't getting a full bend there. But again, this does look really good. It's nice to have in hand. These figures are definitely very panel-y, and some of these panels don't line up perfectly. They don't sit flush perfectly, and that is unfortunate. I think that happens a lot in figures and is often forgivable. Not always. This Jeep mode, this is not screen accurate at all. This looks very much like a Hummer, more modern military vehicle. Still looks cool, but the most important thing is this detail that we're going to get when it's combined, and that is going to make it look more cartoon G1 accurate. Oh boy, just collapsed that. So the vehicle modes on these look good. Here is our Zeta Onslaught. They're robot modes. They do look good. Whether you think they're G1 enough or not, they do look good. I enjoy them. Personal opinion, whatever. This is a parts former. If you're not familiar with parts forming, especially with these third-party combiners, legs and thighs, this is going to provide a more stable combined figure with greater articulation and control for posing, which we will get into more about the articulation once we do have this last Bruticus put together. And I'm afraid that it'll be a long time before I disassemble this Bruticus. I have not disassembled this Constructor Devastator since I put it together, because figures keep coming out. We had a dry spell at the beginning of 2018, but now figures are picking up. We just had a TFCon, and there were like 5 new releases that I picked up recently, like a movie masterpiece Bumblebee from the Bumblebee movie, and a X-Transbots Savant, which was a Skid's figure, and Vans Toys Quietus, which is a third-party Cyclonus. All these figures just keep getting dropped, you know, week after week, and so it is hard to enjoy one set of figures when something else keeps coming out. So I will come back to enjoy these figures again in the future, because at some point, probably sooner than later, I will have to end my new purchase collecting and say, I've got an amazing collection, I can enjoy it for a while, and go back through and revisit older figures, especially figures that I haven't spent enough time with. So with all of that said, I'm going to get this transformed into helicopter mode, and then get this Bruticus combine, and we will pick up the video from there. Alright, while I transform up this Vortex figure, I was rotating the feet at step 38, like the last step of the helicopter mode. This should have been maybe one of the first steps in the transformation, because by now all the other panels are in place, the legs are tabbed together, and there isn't enough room to turn this piece like they are telling me to do it. So, okay. I am still working on getting these figures transformed into combine mode, but if you haven't been familiar with this already, this part of the instructions for robot mode or combine mode, these tank treads are supposed to loop-de-loop inside of this piece here. This piece should have a hinge here, and it doesn't. So you can't open this up. So getting these things to loop-de-loop inside here is ridiculously difficult, and so many reviewers say they can't do it. They give up. So the trick to this is to take out 16 pieces. Take out 16 pieces of the tread. So you can do what I'm doing and try to line it up, or you can count each individual tread piece to make sure you got it. And unfortunately, these treads seem to come disconnected quite often. Having these movable treads seemed like a cool idea. It feels nice to the fingers, I like it, but it's not practical in any sense. And then what I do with these treads is I just drop it into this opening where they would loop-de-loop, and there you go. If you were wondering, the treads from the Brawl figure do not match, or they're not the same as Bone Crusher or Bone Crusher, I don't know their names, Scavenger, Long Haul Mixmaster, not the same. Okay, so I'm still transforming this guy. It's taking hours, but I helped the kids with dinner, helped them with homework, helped them with chores. Oh my goodness. And so there's this round piece that was right in here, and I thought, hey, maybe this is like a lock to lock this sliding piece that connects to Ratchet, the swindle leg. But no, it's not a lock. So no, this piece right here is super loosey-goosey, and Ratchet keeps popping off, and this round piece doesn't seem to do anything. But I did just send a Facebook message to Zeta asking them what this round piece is for and why they did not build a lock for Ratchet into this leg. LR920 or AG6 needs 3 of them. They are 1.5 volts. And it says all that in here, very hard to read. Now I have these that are AG4 1.5 volts. I'm going to see if I can put them in and if they're powerful enough to light this up. Alright, I got them in, but they are not the right size, so they're wibbling, wobbling all around in there, but it's working at the moment, but as soon as I drop this, which I'm sure I'm going to, they will probably fall out of place. And at the 2018 TFCon in Chicago, they had shown a more cartoon-accurate Bruticus head with the Zeta Toys Kronos, their MP-style Superion. So, who knows if that head will come with Superion. Hopefully it comes in its own kit with a more cartoon-accurate chest and legs section. Boy, 8:41 p.m. That's 6 hours and 41 minutes since I started filming this review. I sure hope I can edit this down so it's not a very long review. I got a response from Zeta asking if I would send them a video of my concerns with the knee. So here is my video of the concerns with the knee. We've got our leg connected, but the spring on here is just not tight enough to keep this from popping off when trying to manipulate the leg. So what we need is some sort of lock, and we thought that this circular piece was somehow some sort of lock. But I tried turning it, ended up popping the circular piece out. It wasn't any lock, and not sure what it does exactly, although somebody on the collectors group suggested this was for the base mode. So when we've got everything in vehicle mode, then you just plug your gun into that, I suppose. Now, while I've got your attention, Zeta Toys, I would like to point out that both on this Bruticus figure and on Constructor, this looks great. Okay? Nice and closed, but on the back, we have the open screw here. But that's it on the back, on this right arm. However, on this left arm, the open screw is in the front, and there's no way to turn this portion. And we can see the same on Constructor. However, I believe we might be able to turn this portion around so that it looks nice and clean, like the other arm. But on this arm, the entire purple section needs to be assembled in the other direction. This is something I could possibly take apart and reassemble myself, but I would be afraid of not getting the ratchets to align properly afterwards. So that is my message to Zeta. Now, let's see, 8:44 now. I got the kids tucked in, read them to them from Stephen Hawking's A Brief History of Time. They were out in 30 minutes. While they probably don't understand everything that I'm reading to them, I do give them a summary the next day of what I read when they fell asleep. So, kids are out, and I can finish this review. I do need to reassemble this arm. And here's a shot of these four side by side by side by side. Our Combiner Wars Devies, our Toyworld Constructor, our Zeta Armageddon, and our Jinbao oversized knockoff Warbatron Bruticus. And I got a bag of accessories. I did not put the propeller blades onto Vortex on either figure. I don't need it to make me feel good when I look at this figure. I don't need those blades on there. My main desire is to compare these two for Joseph Z on Facebook, who was asking recently what Bruticus he should get. So shout out to Joe Z. But first, I am going to talk about these Devastators because they have been out for quite a while, and I still have, am only finally getting around to a comparison. Alright, this Devastator also has the DNA Studio upgrade kit. At least 3 different companies, including DNA, did an upgrade kit for this guy. DNA had my favorite because of this head. I like the gritting teeth. I also like this gimmick. Forehead flips up, glasses go in, forehead flips down, and he's got the eyes. Just that, I love it so much. And he's got these light up eyes. There we go. And then our Constructor also has light up eyes. He does have alternate faces. This mouth, this open mouth, definitely needs a splash of black in there to really throw in some contrast. I don't have steady hands. I got my tremors, so I'm reluctant to try to put any paint in there. Also, I don't do painting, so I would need to investigate what would be the appropriate type of paint to put in there. Now, this DNA Studio upgrade kit also expands his shoulders. However, the arms do not peg in very well. They could have used all the different ports and holes and openings on this thing to create a lock, you know, a great locking system to keep this thing connected. But DNA did not achieve that. Very disappointing. So I'm going to take this one off. Because this thing here is some trash. They could have done more to incorporate this arm as well. So now we have our original. I like how this folds over. I do appreciate that. I think that's a nice clean look. But now this arm is super skinny, and that's a big complaint. That's the reason why we've got this joint, so that the treads could be part of the arm, like in G1 and like in the cartoon, and it would have, you know, a beefy arm. So we wouldn't have skipped arm day. But this thing, it just, the arms do not attach. This one either does not. You know, these treads are just wibbly wobbly. They want to come right off when I try to manipulate this arm. Even this arm section itself wants to come right off. Jeez Louise. This piece here would seem like it should peg into the back of the shield, the chest shield, but it doesn't do that. It's very disappointing indeed. Now we do have this foot section. This was not my favorite foot section of the 3 third-party companies. One of them was much more G1, but this does add some beef to the foot. DNA fingers, nice and articulated. I like that, as opposed to the just simply, you know, connected fingers from the original C-Dub hand. Combiner Wars, CW, C-Dub. But we got the excellent articulated hands on our Toyworld. So our Toyworld, you know, and these were designed by the same team who is now running Zeta. You know, we got some awesome articulation. We can do amazing things with this. Great ratchets. Just a friction swivel there, so you might run into some weighted issues depending on what you're trying to do with your figure and your pose. Now both these guys have great big guns, but I'm not a fan of the big gun. It just, you know, I could do so much more with finger poses, doing different things. I'm not going to throw up a middle finger though, not appropriate. Or having you know, another figure in their hand. Like this guy maybe could hold a Legends. This guy could definitely hold a Deluxe. Voyager probably, maybe even a leader scale figure. Of course we're talking masterpiece, but those scale sizes, those words work to describe the scale of a figure, for sure. I just keep this big gun on his back. Now, speaking of backs, let's just flip these around, see how they clean up. Here we go. Here we are. A couple of videos ago I did Prime Designs, and Alien Attack did put a lot of effort into their Age of Extinction Optimus butt. So, how clean is this? This opening looks sloppy. These arms hanging out, sloppy. What both of these figures I would like, they need some sort of backwards extending heel spur, so you can get more dynamic poses without the figure risking falling backwards. Don't enjoy that at all. We have these pieces. I believe those would give long haul more stable foot in robot mode, but then they provide back cover and filler for the dump truck, and then they give them a nice clean backpack in combined mode. Here we're looking at some sloppiness. We got our extra hand from long haul because of our not entirely well thought out DNA shoulder piece. Oh, here, can we see it from here? Yeah, we can see it. We can see the piston work in the Toyworld arm, and that looks super cool. So let's see if we can manage this. We're coming undone a little bit here. Alright, so the pistons move, and then this piece opens and closes. It's going to open up as we turn that. Look at that, that's super cool. It's lots of fun. Detailing inside there, some purple plastic inside. And our DNA add-on here is supposed to be a nice filler, but it leaves too much opening to be really you know, attractive. Get these turned back around. Let's look at these guys from the sides. I think there was an opportunity here that was missed to have this piece fold. Have this fold down. I want to back this guy right up to the wall on my display shelf. You know, put a bunch of smaller bots in front of him. If this piece would fold down, then this would be, you know, a good 3 inches, maybe 4, 3 or 4, that of unwasted space. You know, we've already got all this space here, so if this went to the wall, then, you know, we're only missing out here, which might be taken up depending on his pose. But this is just too much. Think of Masterpiece Grapple or Masterpiece Inferno, the official Takara Tomy Masterpieces. Those things, their ladder or the grapple crane, that can fold up. Alright, that same engineering here would have been amazing. This one at least extends. The C-dub version does not. Just a couple more things. So I enjoy how this could fold over. Give him a nice square shoulder. I appreciate how much this can fold up. Would like it if this could fold up more. Because right now it's sticking out like a sore elbow. If we do some stretching out, that might work on my display. Let me look at it through the viewfinder. That really isn't bad. And once I've got a whole bunch of these Zeta combiners shoulder to shoulder to shoulder up on my my top shelf of my display, then the extra space that this would save me is probably going to come in really handy. Alright, this guy's got the working tank treads. I've not had any problems with these so far. I've had this figure for about 5 months. No issues with them yet. Really cool design, by the way. Really appreciate the moving treads on these. Not so much on the Zeta version of Brawl, is it called Uproar, but definitely appreciated on here. Let's talk a little bit more about articulation and stability. So stable. I mean, in terms of parts aren't falling off here, but he can get back heavy, he can get forward heavy. If I could lock this in just a little flatter, that would be ideal. I think this whole scoop piece. Mentioned the elbow. You probably already know this. You probably watched a bunch of other reviews, but I'm going to say it to you. Along with the elbow, the knees do this shifting. See this? Uh-oh, that fell off. That was from Long Haul's backpack. We'll put it on later. Alright, our swivels are good. Our ratchets, these ratchets are loud, but they're strong. And that's what we want. We want these strong ratchets. That's the other backpack piece. We want these strong ratchets in combine mode. Now let's look at our C-dub. That's kind of a weak ratchet. Oh, so we got, you know, what's happening here? Oh, there we go. We lost our DNA head, so there's a lack of a secure connection there. So this is our knee joint for long haul, but then we've got our hip joint for long haul. So depending on the pose you want, that extra knee joint might... Oh, and now our DNA arm piece is also falling off here. Timber! So this extra joint here might get you a pose that you really want. Now cost. Alright, so I want to talk about cost more when we get into the Brutikisses. Sounds like something from Children of the Corn. Piece is not tabbing in very well. There's a piece up here that can stress and break. That happens. My good friend Mike S. from Mad Props, he was posting about his Toyworld Constructor. I don't think he kept his. I think he sent his back. He had issues with joints being so tight. He might have even been getting stress marks or even had a piece break on him. I noticed that I had some severely tight joints when I got it, but I worked them real good, got them to a point where I was comfortable manipulating the figure. So our DNA head just pegs onto the top, but we still have our original Devy head tucked away in his previous mode. Alright, we're going to get this hunk of green machine out of the way, and get this out of the way too. And now it is time for Brutikis, the Bruticuses, the Brutikisses. Alright, we are almost in frame here. Where to begin? What Bruticus figure should I get? Should I go cheap and affordable, about 100 and less than 200, a little more than 100 I'm sure, or should I go quality? And I'm going to say, how many $100 figures do you own? What expense is your collection? How much masterpiece do you have? What is your interest level? How long do you want it to last for? Do you have the Toyworld Constructor? Are you a chug collector? While this is a lot bigger than most of our chug stuff, oh, by the way, my son, nickname Eyeball, wanted me to bring in his C-Dub Bruticus with perfect effect upgrades, missing a few of his weapons. So our Jinbao oversized knockoff is definitely bigger than our regular Combiner Wars combiners. However, it is definitely not any better quality. That is for sure. That's you know, this is our joints. We got these arms hanging out here. We got the legs, the elbows of the figures are two legs, and that it just looks terrible. And these pieces often fall apart. Hands and feet fall out. Shoulders come undone. That's Combiner Wars stuff. That's mainline Hasbro. We get a lot of that here on our Jinbao. We got loose shoulders. You know, this stuff doesn't lock in here. We got arms hanging out. These feet, so the legs of our characters here, our Swindle and our Brawl, have to clamp on over these feet. And so you manipulate the figure for a while, and then the legs of the figure start to come apart, and then the feet come off. Our balance is not very good on this figure. It gets very back heavy. Well, this figure, you know, I was getting some balance issues putting him together, but I mean, I don't know. How do we feel about these connections? They're doing all right so far. All right. So we got this big section. That's not where the shoulder joint is. It's in here. Okay. Oh, that is a weak, squeaky ratchet. Crap, this one doesn't even want to turn. I'm not sure I've ever posed this guy's arm before. Looking at where it's supposed to turn. There we go. That's a tight ratchet. This one, not so much. Could be individual results, may vary. All right, but speaking from my personal experience, and as soon as I got this figure put together, I was disappointed in it. Could just be me. Could have been how I was sensing the figure, how I was feeling. You know, maybe I had a bad day. I don't remember. But the feeling of disappointment is carried with me since I got this figure. So, let's see. Kind of a soft ratchet in the thigh. That's a much stronger ratchet. Swivel. Pretty strong ratchet in the knee. Ooh. So we're losing cohesion here as our Brawl wants to disconnect. Come apart. Let's see, we've got ankle tilt. No, ankle rocker? Yeah, ankle rocker. If I get a good grip on this, do we have an ankle swivel? Yeah, we got a friction ankle swivel. We got a toe tilt. Alright, so we're leaning back there. Okay, so we just put this guy through a bit of a ringer. Let's make sure we're in frame. Let's put this guy through the ringer too. We did the shoulders. It's a little softer than I think I would like, but it definitely seems to hold. Like the teeth, I don't know, they seem really deep. And we've got this added thing that goes in here for, it's like a double jointed. So you can have his arms really sticking out here. Nice and wide. It definitely should clear his chest shield. But once you get this guy posed, you can collapse it. And for that matter, you really hide this screw issue that I have up here. We'll come back to the heads in a minute. Now, let's see, it looks like his arm is maybe, no, this blue piece was separated, but there's the leg. Alright, so we've got to squeeze this together a little bit for our hand. Nice articulation there. So I don't like these big guns. They just don't do it for me. You can look, oh, there goes the thumb. You might enjoy the look of this honker in their hand, but I would much rather see some, you know, cool stuff with their fingers. Alright, so we got just a simple swivel there. Back to our Zeta. Oh, let's talk about the elbows like we did with Constructor. So there is a piston in here. It's not as pronounced as what we saw in Constructor. And good solid ratchet in the knees. There's a little piston effect in here as well, but not as pretty as we've seen in other figures. Oh, and I do realize I left Daniel and Chip Chase in Brawl, just for fun. This piece I'm going to put on later. So if I'd had these guys out of here, that should probably not have fallen off. This does come out. Oh, there we go. Bye, Chip. This whole section does come out, so if you've got something falling in there, it might make it easier to get it out. Alright, so our previous Brawl on Jin Bao came apart as we were doing this. This one held together pretty well. Our foot, we've got our rocker. No. Oh, we got our rocker. We've got a swivel. Interferes a little bit with you know, just the shape of the leg and so forth. But we don't have a tilt. Is there a tilt on this one? We do have a toe tilt. Minimal, small. Oh, but these feet, look at that. Die cast, heavy feet, good solid base. Now maybe you want a rubber grip on the bottom of your foot so that he doesn't slide around on your desktop or whatever, but overall, I've not had any issues with the feet. Okay, did we have a ankle tilt? No. Yeah? Yeah, there's definitely an ankle tilt in here, but you gotta, to keep the leg from, here, let's try it. Alright, so this guy starts falling apart on us when we get to that ankle tilt. You see that? That's what I'm talking about, Josie. So maybe you're saying, well, yeah, you know, it's affordable, and I'm going to transform it a couple of times, or maybe never, and then put it up on the shelf, and it's going to make a nice display piece. Well, alright, that's fine. Does this look better to you than this one? It's all about the investment, how much you are willing to spend, you know, what you can afford to spend right now or later. I gotta say, I pay for things on credit, and then pay them off over time. Get financing deals. Not smart, but that's how I live my life. Because times are tough, and I play with toys. I'm addicted to these toys. Let's look at the heads. We've got a little tilt and swivel, and we've got our battery operated. Okay, we've got our tilt and our swivel. And this is neat. This is definitely neat that this is like a helmet that fits over on Slot's head. Let's make sure we're in frame. Don't fall over, boys. Definitely neat helmet design. But we can't thank Jinbao for that. We gotta thank Warbatron for all of that. Warbatron made a Bruticus and they made a Computron. You tell me if Warbatron was part of another company, like Unique Toys and DX9 are together, and X-Transbots and Keith's Fantasy Club are together. I'd like to know if we can do dynamic poses with these two. Oh, we didn't even look at their backsides. Alright, let's do our dynamic pose and then we'll turn them around. Check out those bot butts. So, does this really not have an ankle? Let's see, that's the rocker. So tilt? Really no ankle tilt on this, huh? That? I don't know. How important is that ankle tilt? How important is it on this big of a figure? How important is it to achieve the pose you want to achieve? Waist swivel? Yep. Waist swivel? Yeah. Is this a ratchet waist swivel? Soft ratchet, very soft. Let's see that robot bootay. There we go, boys and gals. And I'm coming around behind. The way these arms come back here do not look good. If only this pegged in somehow. You know, not Jinbao's design, it's Warbatron's design. However, you know what third parties have been, or what quote-unquote fourth party, the knockoff companies have been doing, like Wei Jiang, upgrading their knockoffs, trying to make improvements on the design. Jinbao did not do that with their Warbatron. From the back, Bootay, or Zeta, knocks that Warbatron out of the park. But again, what? Less than 200? Nearly 500 or more? Or less, give or take? The money is... what does that mean to you? What does it take for you to earn that kind of investment? And it's not a financial investment, it's a personal level of satisfaction and enjoyment and development and investment of your time, investment of your psyche, of your nostalgia. At what point does the money become too much where you decide that you've got to scratch the itch in the most affordable way possible? You know, and if money is no matter to you, maybe some of you guys, some of you transformation school students are very well off, and you can buy both of these guys, and you can get the Unique Toys one. Maybe you can afford them all. Maybe you get them all, you try them all, you keep them all, you sell some, or you give them away because, you know, you're not worried about how much it cost you. That's not the issue. You just wanted to check them out, and you keep the one or ones that you enjoy the most. Alright, that's enough bot butt. Hey, you know what? Both the Toyworld and the C-Dub have this mid-calf tilt. That is fantastic. Can't get enough of that mid-calf tilt. Here's what I'm talking about, this thing being in the way, alright? And that voice is what I use with my kids when I know I am telling them something they've done wrong, that they know they've done wrong, but I don't want them to have a huge behavioral outburst of throwing things and swearing, because again, they are special needs. Special needs. Oh, and this guy. Ooh, this is neat. Fill it in, or if you need his arms out for your pose, then they can do it. Sign of the devil, dude. What we got here, this can stay on. Would be nice if there were an option for these eyes. To also stay lit. Maybe just a selector switch or something. Okay, I got these guys cleaned up, and a couple of things before the summary. I brought Eyeballs Bruticus back in because I pointed out that he's got the 2 legs for an elbow, and I wanted to just point out that the bye-bye, good night, go to sleep. I wanted to point out that the Jinbao Bruticus, the Warbatron, has the same 2 legs for the elbow. But what we're seeing with newer combiners is that in the waist abdominal section of the robot, there's an additional pivot point to become the elbow of the combiner, a much more solid elbow for the figure. You see that? That's his abdomen, his abdomen and his pelvis, and that is the way to do business from now on. I don't want to see any more 2 legs being the elbow. Not in my design, not in your design, not in designs. I hope the next head for this thing has a little more neck tilt on it. So we did mention this issue. I'll bet on the reissue, and hopefully on the reissue they'll fix that. Or hopefully, and this is one of the previous points I wanted to cover, if they do a cartoon accurate release for this whole torso section, hopefully they'll make locking features for these knee connections. So original release of Constructor had silver thighs, had a different head sculpt, much more T-shaped. It seemed to be based on this Studio Ox artwork. It might have been based on some other designs, but they later released an upgrade kit with green legs and this head sculpt. And then when they released this box set in the, was it late 2017, early 2018, it didn't come with the silver, it didn't come with the big T-shaped head, it just came with this G1 and this green set. So I want gray legs and torso with the purple and brown shuttle wings and a less, a smoother, more cartoon styled head, because that's what pleases me as the collector. And if Zeta designed that for Toyworld, and then hopefully Zeta will design that for themselves. Hopefully we'll see that in the near future. And hopefully not just in a box set, because I wouldn't want to have to buy this whole thing again just to get this middle section. And the box set, after all, that was Toyworld. That's Toyworld trying to recoup some money after apparently they weren't paying their bills and stuff. That's why Zeta left. Toyworld wasn't paying for these designs that they commissioned. So Zeta is recouping their own money. And Toyworld was just re-releasing Constructor to try to stay in the game. That's all. That's beyond me. I just want good quality products at a best price I can get. So to sum up today's lesson, you're going to get what you can afford, or what you can manage to pay for. You're going to get what you think you will be most interested in. Personally, I want quality. I want beautiful design and engineering. Cost is definitely an issue. I'm not going to pay $1,000 per set. That $500 per set, that was rough enough. I'll be paying that off for a while. But having spent, $120 or $150 or whatever shipped on that, I think the original figure here was $150 plus the DNA kit might have been another $86 or something. That's money that I'm not going to get back. I'm going to be selling a used set now, and I should make future purchasing decisions based on this experience. Don't go for the less expensive thing in the short term. Plan for the long term and go for a product that's going to give me a greater sense of satisfaction over a longer period of time. Wow. Alright, but that is it. That's all I got for you guys. That was a lot. Definitely not a short review, but I hope it was enjoyable. That's the most important thing. I hope you enjoyed my review. Thank you all so much. Thank you all for watching. That is all for today's lesson, everybody. Class dismissed.